is good with y'all, man? It's your boy Unseen. I'm coming at y'all with something interesting, something that probably not a lot of people on YouTube in general are going to talk about. And if this is on YouTube, especially in the spiritual community, I don't see a lot of people in the spiritual community talking about this part of the spiritual journey that they've been on, because it seems like to me, and this video is going to kind of be about like just all over the place, but I'm going to try to keep it centered to the spiritual YouTube community and the spiritual community in general, and you know, spirituality, spiritual concepts, and how those two kind of connect to each other, and where I stand within that, you know, within that ecosystem. So basically, it's been a long time since I've really told y'all where I'm at with my journey and where the hell I've been, and you know, the progress or even the regression that I've made in my spiritual journey. You know, I've kept that on the low. The people in my life, like in my personal life that I know in real life, know kind of where I'm at, but I haven't really done my part in updating y'all, and I apologize for that, because like, y'all are the ones that support me. Y'all were the ones that supported me from day one. So like literally day one. You know, when my family ain't even support me, my family didn't even know what the fuck I was on by the time, you know, when I really started to get in my journey, y'all were there. So it's like, who am I? Like, why the fuck am I not saying nothing? You know what I'm saying? That's why it's like, I gotta bring this video to y'all right now, update y'all on something interesting, and I'm gonna give y'all a new perspective, man. It's that simple. Like, I really don't know a lot of people talking about this shit because it's a weird spot to be in. Before I get into it in depth, please be sure you drop a like on the video, drop a comment down below. What's been the number one thing like that's been holding you down throughout these last like 2 years, or just in general throughout your spiritual journey? What's the number one thing that kind of like is your foundation, or that grounds you, that brings you back to the root of it all? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new, man. I really appreciate it. Let's go, man. Let's fucking go. I'm gonna jump straight in. I ain't got time like to waste. I really don't. So like I said, I haven't updated y'all on my journey, but for the most part, when it comes to the spiritual community on YouTube, this is what I'm gonna get into first. The spiritual community on YouTube is the dumbest shit I've ever really seen. Like, now that I'm thinking about it, and now that I realize like I involved myself in that shit for like maybe 2 years since 2020, it's not all that. Like, it's really not all that. Now that I'm like have hindsight, and now that I've, you know, reflected back on it, it was a time to be alive, that's for sure. Like, if you was in the spiritual community on YouTube in 2020, it was a time to be alive. Like, and I'm not going to sit here and say that the information that the spiritual community on YouTube has given me isn't helpful. It's changed my life. Like, some of it's changed my life. But the thing is that I've realized is that the spiritual community is not mature enough. They're not mature. Like, we really want to think we are, and we portray ourselves like we are. We almost attach our egos into being mature spiritually, because we kind of subconsciously tell ourselves that that's what that is. You know what I'm saying? Like, when we tell ourselves that we're spiritual, or when we like subconsciously, when we do the things that reinforce that worldview that we have, we're almost like programming ourselves to like say that we're mature when we're really immature. And at the end of the day, bro, even the fucking words mature and immature don't really mean anything. And this is what I'm kind of getting into with where I've been. I'm gonna say this first. Before I get into this part of the topic. The only person in the spiritual community that actually might be close to this is the hamster wheel video with Von 2 Cut. Von 2 Cut might have been the only person that like really touched on this, and maybe Foster eBay. But the fact that the words we're using, all the things around us, everything we kind of ascribe to this third dimension is not really real. Like, it's not real in the sense that it's not absolute, and it's not absolute in the sense that it is not capital T true. And even the word capital T true is not blank, is not whatever, right? Because you can strip everything down to the definition of the word, and when you strip the definition of the word down, you strip it down to the singular words that make up the definition. And when you strip down the singular words, you strip it down to the letters. And when you strip it down to the letters, you know, the next part that comes after the letters is kind of like the origin, or like the fucking, I don't even know, but you see what I mean? Is if you just, like, I realize if you strip everything down, the foundation it stands on, there's not really a foundation none of these things stand on. The words that I'm speaking to you right now in the English language don't really mean anything. They don't mean anything in the sense that we only give them meaning. As humans, we give these words meaning. So like when we say these vibrations, when these vibrations come out of our mouth, we've decided as a collective that that has a connotative and denotative meaning. Like we decided that these certain frequencies and vibrations affect us in a certain way that cause us to, that cause our bodies to feel a certain way inside. That's really what it means. And that's honestly what I've been realizing throughout my life, is that in the last couple years, I won't even say in the last couple years, the last few months, the last like 5 to 6 months actually, I'm realizing that all the shit that we say, if we say this is a phone, why do we say this is a phone? How do we know this is a phone? We only say it's a phone because we've agreed to say it's a phone. And we've only agreed to say it's a phone because, you know, we've agreed on the letters that make up that word. And it's just like, bro, it's kind of like getting into semantics of everything, you know? And that's really what I'm realizing life is as much as I hate to say it, bro, life is just all semantics. Like everything we do is semantics. It all boils down to semantics and numbers, meaning like it all is letters and numbers. Kind of like gematria. If you know what gematria is, it's simply the practice of putting letters into numbers. So like A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3, right? All the way up to Z equaling 26. Like everything kind of is it's like a code. It's literally the matrix. So this is where I'm at with my spiritual journey, is that how this applies to my spiritual practices and my spiritual like beliefs. I don't even like saying the word belief, but you know, I love to talk about Kemet. I love talking about Kemet and everything that, you know, symbols like these, the Eye of Ra, the Eye of Horus stand for, the Ankh, right? Like these symbols mean the world to me because they stand for something that I practice, in the sense that it stands for the third eye. And if I never opened my third eye, I probably would be dead. Like I probably would have been dead, you know, because me opening my third eye led me down the path to losing weight, and losing weight caused me to be healthy, and it caused me to be more knowledgeable about the things I'm putting in my body. So it's like, if I never opened up my third eye and learned the corruption of the, you know, of how food works and how vibration is and how, you know, your health is, I probably would be like easily over 300 pounds by now, bro. And I'd probably be dead, either from fucking, I don't even know, from COVID or some shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'd probably be more prone to disease. So like, I can argue that if I never came across knowledge like this in particular, that I probably wouldn't be here making these videos. And I probably wouldn't have even had the confidence to start making these videos if I never came across this for myself. So it's like, I always will, this is like my foundation, my root is like this type of knowledge. But something I've realized over time is that we just don't know if this shit is really what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, we'll study history, right? I love studying history. I've been a history buff since, I don't fucking know, since I was probably 8 years old, 9 years old when I played Assassin's Creed. That game got me into history, but and since then I've just always been wanting to study history. But something I've realized is when we study history and we study anything in particular, even philosophy, anything, spirituality, we just don't really know if any of those things that they say happened. The same thing goes with the crucifix. We don't know if fucking the crucifix was supposed to represent Jesus dying on the cross, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, that crucifix just could have been anything, and people have decided to ascribe that to an event. So it's like, but we don't know that. We are just trusting people's accounts of everything. That's what I'm saying, is like, even like, and it goes down to the words we're using. We're trusting people's interpretations of everything over time, and we've just learned to kind of accept that. And that's where I'm at with my spiritual journey, is that how this equates to God is that we don't know. There's no way to really know God, kind of like how we know a person, like we're familiar with a person. We can't really know God on a human level. That's what I'm trying to say, is we can't know God as a human, because as humans, we're limited in our consciousness. As in the third dimensional realm, our consciousness is limited. in the sense that we can only see what I think it's like 2% of the light spectrum. Y'all know this. And if anyone presses me about it, like, oh, how do you know? Well, it's like, because I've done it and I've seen it for myself. So like, that's my kind of evidence, is that it's self-evident, as opposed to me trusting somebody else in their interpretation of it. Do it for yourself and see for yourself if that's it. Like, I'm not saying like God isn't real, or I'm just saying, for me personally, some things are real and some things aren't. And that's probably different for another person. If it's self-evident to you that Jesus is real, it's real to you. To me, it's not real. It's not real because I tried it and nothing happened. It's not self-evident to me. And it's all relative at the end of the day. That's why I say it's like there's no real absolute. There's no absolute when it comes to these concepts. The only way we can know if it's absolute is once we are out of the third dimensional realm. That's really the only way to know, is because going back to my original point of us being limited in consciousness, is that when we're limited in our third dimensional consciousness and our brains are not capable of accessing these higher realms, which are known to exist because I've seen it, I've experienced, being in a different realm. You experience it every night. Every night you fucking go to sleep and dream. You experience accessing a higher realm. So it's not even like it's speculative. It fucking exists. Because we're only limited in that aspect, and our bodies don't dwell in there, and we're in a human vessel, we're in flesh, we're limited by default. And how God equates to that, or how the all, or like the deity, the supreme deity that encompasses everything, to say that we can really know that and resonate with that as a human is almost like saying, like, how can you resonate with something that transcends everything that we know? When we say that God is loving, or we say that God is this and God is that, God isn't that. God's name isn't even God. Like, because that force and that deity itself is so transcendent in nature that it transcends all of these ideas we put on it. So it's like, that's how do you know something that you can't know? You can't know something that is impossible to know. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not to say that we don't know God. It's more so to say that we aren't capable of fully knowing God. We can know the essence of it, but we can't know how it actually is manifested. We can't really know that because we can't place ourselves in that state of frequency, in that state of vibration yet. We're not there yet as humans. So that's where I'm at with my walk and my journey, is realizing maybe we weren't meant to know that as humans. We weren't meant to know the fully encompassing essence of this, supreme deity. I like to say the all, because some of these ideas that I'd say most of these ideas I'm getting are influenced by this book called The Kabbalion, which took me about a year to read, and it's only 100 some pages, but it took me a year to read because it's so complex in how it describes these concepts, and it makes fucking sense. It makes irrational sense and rational sense. It's abstract and it's fucking concrete at the same time. The same with God. God can be abstract and concrete. In fact, God transcends the concepts of abstract and concrete. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm realizing. And for us to place any kind of descriptors on it is almost bringing that essence down to our level, when we know for a fact that essence does not exist on our level. It just doesn't. And if it did exist on our level, it wouldn't even be that essence anymore. It would no longer be that deity. It would no longer be the all-encompassing deity, because to denote it to where we're at in the third dimension is going against its own nature. Do you see what I'm saying? So for us to be able to say we are knowing of that is it's impossible. It's not to say that we can't ever, it's just to say that we can't as humans. We can't know it as humans, but we can know it as a soul, because we're a byproduct of that. We are the manifestation of that, essentially. But it's more so, we can't know its own mind. We can't know the all's own mind. We can't know our deity's mind. It's like a tree, right? We're the branches of a tree. All of us, every living thing, every fucking thing we see is like the branches of the entire tree. They're all connected, but they're separate. They're separate in its existence. So it's like To say that God's separate from outside of you is bullshit. And it's bullshit to also say that God is strictly inside of me only. It's bullshit to say that only one can exist inside or outside of you and not both. Because if that essence itself is so transcendent and so capable in nature of anything, it can be both. It can, in fact, it probably transcends. I like to use the word transcend because it's superior. It's above those ideas that I'm even saying. So it's probably not even operating on these ideas that I'm giving it or these words that I'm using to describe it. So that's why I lead to, you know, my overall conclusion is like, bro, we don't know. Like, we just don't know, in the sense that we can't know, because everything we say is flawed. It's flawed in the sense that, like I said, going back to what I said originally, when you strip it all down, we're just simply trusting a man's interpretation of vibrations and of symbolism. That's really all we're trusting, because we're trusting sounds coming out of our mouth and written communication. You know, so it's like that's really all this boils down to. Any person that says they fully know God is bullshitting you. This and the way that the spiritual community fits into this is that they don't fucking get to that point. I noticed a lot of people aren't at this point. At least they don't tell you that they're at this point. They don't tell you that they're at this point because now they have to keep up with this image that they've given you, they've sold you in the past, and they've realized that works. Because a lot of people are in the point that I used to be with my spiritual journey, where I was like, you know, meditate, do this, do that, like go vegan, do that. I still do that shit because I realize it helps with my health. But it's like, the reason I'm doing that is not because I want to project that and glamorize it for the intent of garnering an audience and making money. That's really what fucking YouTube spirituality is keeping an audience, just like any part of YouTube. It's about keeping your fucking attention, keeping, you know, you invested into their content for the sake of them benefiting off of you and benefiting off of you staying in the same spot and in the same part in your journey and not progressing. They don't want you to fucking be at this point in your spiritual journey to where you're realizing that some of this shit is actually not what it was. Because at that point, they lose you. You lose them. They lose you. And I might lose you, some of you, with this video because you're not there yet. And I'm not saying that I'm ahead and you're behind. It's more so like I'm just in a different room on the same floor as you. I'm just in a different room as you. We're on the same fucking level. And in fact, the level doesn't even exist in itself. So it's like, let's just get rid of that comparison in general. But to make it more simpler, it's like me being in a different room and you being in another, you know, room on the same floor. I'm not better. I'm not worse. I'm not good. I'm not bad. All of these terms that I use don't mean really anything. They really don't mean anything in the sense that they have no foundation to stand on. And I know that kind of sounds like black-pilled, or that sounds like very pessimistic, but it's the fucking truth. It's the fucking truth. And the reason why it's the truth is because there's no real way to fucking like disprove that. You can't disprove the idea that everything we know isn't true. You can't really disprove that. Because it's like, what I'm saying is the very root of everything, of all the points we make, of all the ideas we have, the very root of it is kind of flawed. What I'm saying can't be really like disproved because I'm not really trying to prove anything. I'm trying to prove that there's no such thing as proving something. You see what I'm trying to say? Like, it kind of circles back and you're probably like, fuck, like, what is he saying? Like, he's just talking in circles and shit. Or like the easiest way to understand what I'm saying is just like, think about all the words we use. Think about the word the. How the fuck did the word the start? How did we start saying the word the? When did the word the get created in the dictionary? Okay, once you can pinpoint like a certain idea about a word, trace it back to its origin. And you realize that in the process of tracing it back to its origin, you're just kind of trusting the fact that this is the path that word took. We're trusting the fact that everything we've said happened. The only thing that we can verify and the only thing that's really like capital T true is the present moment. That's what I'm realizing, is everything that's in front of me, everything that's present, and everything that's existent in front of our face is true, because it's like, it's there. It's there. I'm open-minded to the fact that it doesn't exist. I'm open-minded to the fact that this is all a projection of something too. I'm really open-minded to any fucking thing. That's why I don't really claim a religion, and that's why I don't go hard for the comedic shit as much as I used to, because I'm realizing that we're just trusting people's accounts of everything. That's kind of where I stand. The spiritual community on YouTube doesn't really like talk about this concept. Like I said, Von To Cut and Foster eBay are maybe the closest people that like can, at least that I know of, that like have gone in depth on this topic. They did go in depth on this topic, but they kind of just like go back to their original like core tenets of what they made their branding about, of their channels. And I don't think Von To Cut makes videos anymore, so that's what I mean. It's like, you see what I mean? You see where this kind of leads? Like, kind of just realize that none of this shit really matters the way it used to be. The only thing that made it matter to me back in the day was the fact that I almost kind of, like, I had faith in the fact that what I was saying was true and could not be disputed. Now I'm realizing that everything I say can be disputed and cannot be disputed at the same time. So it's like, I'm kind of in this point where I'm just realizing like none of us know anything, and we weren't meant to. We weren't really meant to as humans. So that doesn't mean like, you know, spiral out of control and stop and give up on everything. It just means that like, bro, it's just the Matrix. We in the Matrix, and this is it, bro. This is really all it is to it. For those of you watching this, you're probably like, wow, this dude must be real fun at fucking parties and shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, bro, like, I could fucking talk people's ears off about this shit, and I know when to be cool. I know when to like not go super far overboard with it when I'm around bots and shit, right? If you tell a bot this, their whole world is upside down. Like, and it's crazy because it's like, and that would be on steroids. You tell a bot this, and they'll fucking shut you down, and they'll fucking make sure you never say that shit again, like times 20. Because when I've realized this, I realized like my whole fucking worldview was kind of like completely rooted in nothing. So like, you tell somebody who kind of believes everything they say, or believes the fact that words have meaning in the sense that they have absolutism to it, you tell that to somebody who really like has faith in the system, they'll fucking lose their shit, bro. Like, that's what I'm saying though. It's like they'll fucking lose it. So that's honestly what I was trying to get into, bro. I don't want to make this video that long, but it's just something interesting to really think about, is that none of this shit really exists, or none of this shit really means anything. And once again, I'm not advocating for you to say, well, you know, because none of this means anything, I'm gonna fucking eat bad, or I'm gonna fucking cause harm to people. Like, bro, no. I'm not saying to do that. I'm just saying to be conscious of these ideas and don't really act on negative energy, because that is one thing that is absolutely true, is vibration, energy, and auras. That shit is all real. It doesn't mean to like not trust intuition anymore. It doesn't mean to like not have a relationship with God, or with your creator, or with the creator, right? I'm not saying that. I'm just more so saying, when it comes to the Matrix and like the third dimension, just question what it, like, the root of and the foundation of it. That's all I'm really trying to say. It's just question everything. I've said that since the start. It's question everything, bro. That's really all this is about, is just asking questions and, you know, really trying to learn. Learning is for sure the most important thing that we can do as humans, is learn. So yeah, man, that's gonna do it. I could fucking talk about this for like 2 more hours, but yo, I think it's good to leave it off there. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to drop a like, comment down below, let me know what you think about this, like this concept that I'm trying to bring to y'all, because this was really just an attempt to explain something that's kind of unexplainable. So let me know what you think about that. Let me know where you're at in terms of, you know, where you're at on your journey. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new. Yeah, man, that's gonna fucking do it. my head is hurting now. My head is hurting like crazy. So that's gonna do it, man. I appreciate y'all. It's been your boy Unseen. I will catch y'all in the next one, man. Peace.